All rights reserved, tuned in with the greatest nation since United Nations. Let's talk about this. Did Inspector Gadget affect really show the true nature of our detective system? Think of Inspector Gadget. He had a niece and a dog with him. Now, in these investigations, think back. Think very detailed. If you never saw Inspector Gadget, look at it. Did Inspector Gadget ever truly solve a crime? Think about that. Or was it his niece that solved the crime and the dog that was in the line of danger? Think about this. Think about it. In this detective cartoon, although hilarious and entertaining as children, if we think about it logically, the issue is, I believe that Inspector Gadget never solved a crime. The only time a crime got solved was if his niece arrived on the scene. And the only time destruction occurred, it was to the dog that put itself in harm's way. So Inspector Gadget did not get hurt. And at the same time, he'd always take credit for solving the crime. Think about that. Think about it. Now let's look at real life. Detective Gadget. Think of your local detective. How do they solve the crimes without the interaction of the community? Very rarely, to be real, or a tip, or someone who's around the situation. And how many times, if we look through news stories, does something happen to someone who helps the police? Very often. Very often. How many threats come to people who are deemed to have told on something happened? Very often. Are we living in a society of Inspector Gadgets who get paid, get acclaim for things that they don't really solve, but someone else's life is placed in danger for little to nothing? Interesting. Let's get into it. Let's get a bit deeper. If we're to presume this cartoon was made so long ago as it was this by design that the system was set up how it was? That they never really find the perpetrator, or they don't arrive to a scene unless someone else's life is in jeopardy? And even then, do they always find the criminal? Or do they find them because someone else steps up and speaks up? Yay or nay? Logically, that puts everything in perspective to realize that we're in a society of Inspector Gadgets. That the state and the system allows us to believe that these men and women who go dressed up, looking spiffy, rarely figure out what the issue is unless someone comes forward. Matter of fact, you take people in to question them. What evidence do you really look at? What characteristics do you really define to figure out who's actually real or not? Who's a danger to society or not? Do you or don't you? After an interesting conversation with a detective, I realized something. You allegedly do not make moves unless you're moving to pull up to a body. Do you show up only if there's a body on the scene? Oh, I guess you're going to say we got a crime prevention. How well does it work? Are they able to tell who's a criminal or not? Are they able to see suspicious activity? Or do they use prejudice to define what's suspicious? Let's keep it real. I have names I can drop on people, even locally to me, who are in law, who pulled up and checked me just because I was black outside wearing black. When they showed me the photo of the person they were looking for, I was a whole foot taller, a whole foot and a half taller, didn't fit the description at all. He was lighter than me. So what were they looking for? But when a white man sticks his hand in a tip jar, he stuck his hand in a tip jar, took money out, walked out in front of everyone. One cop pulled up 20 minutes late. 3 cops pulled up for my situation. Tell me that's not prejudice. Let's get a bit deeper. What is your history of actually arresting a criminal if you use those type of characteristics to define your job? What do you really do but ride around wasting taxpayer money during the day and profiling? What do? I watched you on the side of the road, the same guy, profile about 2 other people. I watched you. I stood there watching you outside. I've seen it. Yet you can't see when deals are going down right in front of you with all whites. You can't. I watch you sit in your car not moving like an idiot. Maybe it's time we question the law system and how things are working. Maybe it's time we question those around us who play like they care about what it is that's going on, but actually may be suspect. Maybe it's time we took the time out of our day to look at those around us and define what their true desires are. What do you do for our society above and beyond? When was the last time you got arrest of true violent criminals? When's the last time you got an arrest before a domestic dispute turned violent and caused death? Who has answers? I'm open. You can post them below. I'll gladly look at them. I'll gladly read it. But in my real life knowledge, are detectives really serving and protecting as they should? You see, it's not just up to the uniformed officers riding the streets. You're to prevent murders and other things that go on in our society apart from you sitting there collecting a check, answering the phone with your feet up. What's worse? What's the problem with the New York system and how that they investigate things? How is it that you could calmly sit behind your desk, but I bet if your sister or your mother called you and was in danger, you'd show up right away? I bet if someone was beating their head in, throwing them downstairs and stomping their head, you'd rush over like, no. Abuse of authority, abuse of law is nothing new. Through my investigations in the New York system and how they handle things, I've now truly seen your nature. By names, I could blast you. Oh, let me ask this. Why is it a detective skips reports and hits on women? Yeah, we know who you are, all of you. We know who you are. Why are you skipping reports but making passes at women? We got you. We got you. Are you that bored of your job? Are you that cocky at your job that you can use your power to persuade and push yourself into a woman's life? All of you, we know who you are. Shine time. Shine time. And if I don't see the change in the near future, we will drop your names. We will drop. I'll even drop phrases you said. I'll do you dirty like that. And every woman who this has happened to, it's up to you. You'd be welcome to come on the platform and speak about the detective that did it. Yeah. You think you're going to make a damsel in distress story out of your job or doing my job. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop playing with me, Inspector Gadget. Stop playing with me, Inspector Gadget. That's all you. All rights reserved.